What is the best macro lens for underwater photography? It really depends on obviously what camera system you are using.
If I'm using a full frame system, I'm probably gonna want one of those 90 millimeter, 100 millimeter, 105, somewhere around there.
My go-to 100 millimeter macro. The best macro lens for underwater photography is the one that gives you the tightest shot possible, or could be the least restrictive macro range to work with.
The best macro lens, oh, the hardest one to shoot with.
The best macro lens for underwater photography is the one that gives you the most reproduction of your subject, basically the most macro magnification. You want to get as tight of a shot as possible. Certain lenses allow you to get tighter than others. Basically, the longer the focal length of your lens, the tighter you can get. So a 90 millimeter lens is better than a 60 millimeter lens for shooting even smaller stuff. On the flip side, if your camera doesn't have the option to put a dedicated macro lens on it, you could just use a wet mount macro diopter or external macro conversion lens on the outside of the housing to get your standard lens in much tighter than it could otherwise do, but that is going to come at the cost of having a pretty tight minimum and maximum focus distance. So depending on that wet lens that you choose, you're pretty much going to be locked into shooting one size of subject.
So the best macro lens, well, this is dependent upon your camera system, but this week I've been shooting the new OM Systems 90 millimeter macro, which is made for Olympus and OM Solutions, Micro Four Thirds kind of mounts on it. And it's been kind of surprising because that lens will go all the way to 2:1 macro and without a diopter on it. So you don't need that extra diopter in the front to do it. And it has a narrower angle, and therefore it also gives you a lot more working distance. So if you find yourself with skittish critters, you can be a lot further away from them. So it's kind of like my new favorite macro lens at this point.
So for me, I'm primarily a Canon shooter, been Canon shooter for 15 years. And I think we really just revolve around one primary lens for macro, and that is the Canon IS-100 L lens, L series. It's f2.8.
It's whatever's best in your budget and for what you want to capture. And again, whether you've got a compact system or a mirrorless system or a DSLR, it's a wide variety. And in general, you really want to think, am I going to be shooting super macro? Am I going to be shooting larger macro subjects? And then sort of pairing the choice of the system that you have, the subject you want to capture, and then choosing the lens and possibly a diopter on the front or a magnifier on the front to really allow you to capture the type of subject that you're looking to photograph or film.
I'm gonna say I really like shooting with diopters. So I like shooting with the SMC1 on top of a 100 millimeter lens. That's my Canon typical setup. And then if I'm really ambitious and have my 8 hours of sleep, I'll strap on the SMC2 for some added abstract, kind of freaky psychedelic effects.
The best macro lens for underwater video, as far as I'm concerned, is the 100 millimeters macro for Canon, like full frame. 100 millimeters works, is good. That's what I use. I know Nikon has a similar one. Sometimes when I go in a smaller sensor, a 60 millimeters is really good. And yeah, and besides that, I use a lot of accessories like SMCs, which will make that lens much magnified, and the EMWL, which will turn into that macro lens into a wide angle, macro wide angle with different lens. So I usually carry all the lens on my pockets and switch it underwater because as I'm doing video, I want different frames, wide, medium, close-ups, and I can do that with a set of EMWL lens. And that's what I do. I put it all there, and then I do all the shots I need in the macro environment. So I start with the 100 and all the accessories I can put in the system.